State Representative Alan Seabaugh. Good morning, Mr. Allen. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
So Aaron started off a newscast this morning. I guess somebody down in Baton Rouge said, "Oh, all is lost," in reference to the special session. We had another story. Well, it just didn't go well. I'm thinking you guys kept taxes from being raised. I think that's cause for celebration, right?
Yeah. For me, look, people keep saying we didn't do anything. I strongly disagree. We kept the taxes of the hardworking people of Louisiana from being raised unnecessarily. So I think we've accomplished a lot in this special session.
But you're going to leave the decision about balancing the budget to John Bel Edwards. Does that trouble you?
Nope, that's not correct.
Okay, how are we going to do it?
Because he's already submitted his budget. The budget is in the House now. And I've talked to Republican members on the Appropriations Committee. I've talked to Chairman of Appropriations and said, can you cut $400 million without cutting any services that anybody notices? And they've all said, absolutely. So John Bel's doomsday budget was exactly that. He was trying to hit things that would directly affect people like TOPS that people would know. But the 994 number that they keep using is it's not a real number because it doesn't factor in the $300 million from the Fed or any of the other stuff that's coming in. The real number is between $400 and $500 million. And out of a $30 billion budget, we can cut $400 to $500 million without affecting services, without affecting TOPS, without closing hospitals, without closing universities. We can do that, and everybody I've talked to I suspected that we could do it. Everybody I've talked to on Appropriations Committee says, yes, we can do that, no problem.
So
there's no reason for us to have been here in the first place.
What's going to happen now? What's going to happen today? The next couple, are the Democrats at this point, are the tax raisers, some of those being Republicans to be blunt about it, are those factions so splintered that they don't have a chance?
I hope so. What's going to happen today is the fight. The only fight left is: are we going to go home, or are we going to take up excess itemized and vote on the reimplementation of the so-called Stelly bill?
But as far as the quarter penny sales tax, as far as the Black Caucus's demand of what they called compressing the tax rates, which would have been really a tax increase like those are dead in the water. Those are done. Those are history, right?
Well, the sales tax is dead because it's failed twice. The compression never came out of committee, so it's probably too late for that to happen. It with some shenanigans that could probably still come up, but there's no way it would have the votes on the floor.
So there's another bill about the corporate income tax deductions, individual income tax credits. Look to be on the agenda today. Any shot?
That's what I don't know, and we haven't really debated any of those bills. All of the talk has been centered around the House Bill 8, which is excess itemized, and House Bill 23, which is the one we killed last night, the sales tax bill. Nobody's really talked about it. I mean, I fought them in committee. House Bill 14, 16, and 22 is what you're talking about, and they're small, relatively speaking. One's $16 million, one's $11 million. I think one's $34, $35 million.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're in the overall scheme of things, they're not that large. So far, if you look at what we've passed, we passed a $213,000 income tax increase on cell phones. So that's it. So we've raised taxes $213,000 this session. So don't say we hadn't done anything.
Well, let's play the chess game here. Assuming John Bel and the Dems come out of this special session, which it looks like they're going to do, i.e. getting nothing that they want, what is John Bel's next move as far as playing the PR game to try to get people in the state on his side? Is he going to play the day after tomorrow movie game where everything we're on the verge of doom?
Yes. If you look at Twitter, he immediately went on Twitter and said the House Republican leadership did not negotiate in good faith. He's trying to spin it as it's Republicans' fault. And that's just not true. The bottom line is we gave the Democrats everything they asked for, everything. They said, we hate that the tax bill is tied to the Medicaid reforms. And so we took them all. We gave them every single thing they asked for, and they still voted no.
The special session cost us like $60,000 a day.
Yeah.
This is going to be over $1 million we have spent. $1 million we have flushed. Do you know how angry that makes me? And I'm sure you.
Well, and you should be angry at the governor for calling a special session. He said for 9 months that he wouldn't call a special session unless there was an agreement ahead of time. There has never been an agreement. There has never been close to an agreement. So if anybody wasted the state's money and our time, it's the governor who called a needless special session when we don't know that we need to raise taxes. I mean, I don't think we do. It's the biggest budget we've ever had, even without the tax increases. It's not necessary. We can balance the state budget. We can cut a little bit that nobody will notice, a little trim off the top. And calling the special session was a boondoggle. It was a mistake. I think he knew better, but he went ahead and did it anyway, and going completely against what he said before. So this session never should have been called because there never was an agreement and there never was much hope for success.
Alan, the way you make it sound is that solving the state's budget shortfall, that avoiding the governor's fiscal cliff, is in fact going to be a relatively simple thing to do if we leave it to the state legislature. Then what was the whole purpose of John Bel calling this other than I want more of Louisiana's money?
That's exactly what it was. You got to keep in mind he is a radical leftist. He is a Bernie Sanders leftist. He wants as much money in the state coffers that he can get. And that's why he keeps using this $994 million figure, which everybody knows is not accurate. The number's closer to $400 to $500 million. But he keeps saying, I need $994 million or nothing. And essentially he told us, you need to pass $994 million of tax increases. And we said, we're not going to do that. We might give you $300 to $400 million. I voted against everything, but we were willing to negotiate and say, we'll give you $300 to $400 million. He said, no, I need $994, which is not a real number. And that's what makes me so mad. And that's why I said he told a bald-faced lie at the House floor, because he did. Because the deficit is not $994 million. The deficit is somewhere around 5 and give or take 50 either way. And that's the deficit. But here's the thing: it's not going to be easy because the House can pass it, but the problem is going to be the Senate does whatever the governor wants. So when the bill goes to the Senate, they're going to mess it up, and they're going to pass a doomsday budget. And so the fight's going to be at the end of the regular session over. You're going to have two versions of the budget. You're going to have a House version that cuts the $500 million in painless ways. And then you're going to have a Senate version, which probably guts TOPS or closes hospitals or takes it out of higher ed, which is unpalatable.
At John Bel's behest.
Absolutely. And so the card he's going to play now is let's not allow the state to be fixed in the regular session. So we have to have another special in June to quote unquote fill the gap, which I promise, if you look at the House version of the budget that comes out of the House committee and passes the House floor, there's going to be no devastating cuts in it. We're going to prove that this can be done, and then on the back end, the Senate's going to flip it, and it's going to come back to the House with quote unquote devastating cuts.
There's no reasoning with the governor. Have you tried? Have people tried?
There's absolutely no reason. No, he says $994 or nothing. And when he knows good and well that $994 is not a real number, it does not factor in the $300 million from the feds, which is a real number that we know and we can look at. There's other factors in it. The fact that oil's trading $12 a barrel higher, which is about another $140 million. There's several other factors in there which make $994 not a real number. That's why the special session is now, because he can at least say $994 and tell everybody there's a cliff and try to scare people into raising taxes. If you wait until June when the REC recognizes all of this money, you'll realize there is no fiscal cliff, and it can be fixed relatively easily through the budget process.